elephants are going to walk about, so I don't have it today. So I do apologise, so I just have to shout and put my voice. Okay, so just a little bit about elephants in general. You've got 3 types of elephants in the world. You've got Asian elephants, which we work with. You've got Asian elephants, which we work with here. You've got African bush elephants that we're all very familiar with, very, very large ears from Africa. There's also another type called the African forest elephant, which people don't really talk about. And they've got massive ears and the tusks that go straight down. They don't exist in zoos, okay? So we work, like I said, we work with Asian elephants. A little bit about elephants and how they like to live. Elephants live in a family herd, okay? They're a very social animal. And that herd is made up of mostly females that are related. The oldest female in that herd is the leader. Okay, so our leader or matriarch, her name is Dina. She's over there having some hay. She's our biggest female. She's 42 years of age, and she was the first elephant born in the Netherlands. She's had 2 daughters here. She's had many daughters over here. But she's had 2 daughters here. This is Asha, who's in the water there. She's 18 years of age. And we've got Samaya behind her there, who's only 11. Okay. So what happens to the boys in that herd, in the wild or in zoos? So once those boys grow up and they start to mature around age 12, 13, they start to become a little bit of a problem. Too rough, pushing and shoving, a bit too boisterous, so they get booted out of the herd, okay? And they go off and they live alone, or they hang out with older bulls and learn from them. We do have a bull here. He's next door, you'll see him if you're going down that way. His name's Anbo. He's a 24-year-old bull, and he's quite a famous individual because he's a tusker, what that we refer to him. He's got very, very large tusks for the species. Only in Asian elephants, only the males get large tusks. Females do get them as well, but only with that size, so we don't really see them when their trunks are up. Sorry, I forgot to say as well, some ways to tell they're Asian elephants. Okay, first big giveaway there is a small curtain-like ears. Another giveaway, you look at the tip of Ash's trunk there. There's 1 finger, okay? African elephants have 2 fingers, Asian elephants have just 1, okay? They can pick up a grain of rice, but they can also rip up a tree, okay? So it's a fantastic kind of appendage they have. So what goes into taking care of these? So we keep them on sand. Sand is fantastic because it evenly distributes their weight, and it's nice and soft, so it's good for their muscles and their joints. Elephants sleep lying down, believe it or not. They can sleep standing up. But they prefer to sleep lying down. A comfortable elephant is lying outside. So females are a big circle with calves in the middle as a protective circle, but males on the other hand just prop themselves wherever's comfortable, okay? So these are what we call a mega herbivore, so they eat plant matter pretty much all day. Each elephant eats about 150 kilograms of food every single day. They get hay, they get willow, silver birch, bamboo, they get fruit, vegetables. They also get these things called elephant biscuits, which I'll talk about in a few minutes. So that's what we feed them every single day. With that much food being eaten, that means there's a lot of food for us to pick up. So I pick up, well, with the team, pick up about 400 poos every single morning. Each poo is the size of a football and weighs about a kg, so there's no gym for memberships on this no need. So we pick up all that poo, we use it as fertiliser in the zoo. It's actually really good for your plants, believe it or not, and we get rid of the rest. However, that poo is very, very important in the wild, okay? When these elephants are in the wild, they're rainforest habitats of Southeast Asia and Indonesia, they're eating plants all day. They're eating plants all day long, which means when their poo hits the rainforest floor, it's got hundreds of thousands of seeds in it and pollen and things like that, which spreads those plants and makes them grow more. Some plant species are completely dependent on elephant poo to spread, okay? So that shows their importance in the wild. So if you look after these guys, you're looking after insects, you're looking after reptiles, amphibians, birds, small mammals, and so on. Okay, they're what we call an umbrella species, okay? So, a common question I get is, do we go in with the elephants here at the zoo? And the answer is no. Okay, so historically people would have been in with the elephants. They thought that was a good idea, and thinks that it's not. Okay, that's a wild animal. The only animal that should be directly interacting with is another elephant. Okay, there's absolutely no need for us to be in there with them. Okay, also to get an elephant to be in a situation where they're completely fine with being there right beside a human. It's not a nice process, okay? Unfortunately, it's practiced around the world. So we work with them through a barrier, okay? What that means is, if you go down to the back of the habitat there, you can kind of see these big safety barriers, okay? That means I can go up and interact with those elephants. I'm safe, but the elephant can walk away if they want to. It's their choice to come to us. If they don't want to come to us, they don't have to, okay? So we do training with them. And when I say training, I don't mean doing silly tricks, okay? I'm talking training for veterinary purposes. So For example, we've been doing this for years, and we have them trained, give you an example, to show us their mouth. So if I ask them for a salute, they'll put their trunk up in the air, and they get biscuits in return. Okay? If they don't want to, they don't have to. It's their choice. Not feeling that they can walk away. So we've advanced this to the point. So she's a Nigel, she'll start throwing sticks at me now. I'm not joking. So I stuck a few grapes in there. I don't usually get grapes, so they've realised, oh, look at this. So we've advanced this to the point where one big part of looking after elephants is taking care of their feet. Okay, their nails grow 1 centimetre a month. Okay, that's 4 elephants, and all those nails are grown. We got to take care of their nails because the sand doesn't wear it down. Okay, so what we can do is I can go up to Somalia there and say, Somalia, can I see your foot, please? Or left foot, for example. She'll put her foot through a hatch. One of us is giving her biscuits, the other person's down there with knives, cutting her nails for her. Okay, we can same knives you use on a horse's hoof. We can put moisturiser on their knees, their tails if they get dry skin in the winter. We can even take blood samples from their ears and their legs, all by their choice, and send off to a vet if they're sick. So, but the most important thing is they don't have to engage if they don't want to. They usually always do though with the biscuits involved. And at the very end, they get it with a slight turn. So that's how we do it here in a modern zoo. Okay, no need for us to be in there invading their space. All right. So, last thing then, guys, is why are they here in zoos? So historically, even back when I was a kid, zoos were all about just coming to see a cool animal, and that was just kind of it, wasn't it? It's different now. Okay, this is a managed population, and we work with zoos all around the world. It used to be just Europe. We work with the States now as well. And we work together. This is Dina in the middle, by the way, our 42-year-old. So she's using sawdust as kind of like a sunscreen, if you're wondering what that is. So we work with zoos all around the world now, and we work together to maintain a stable and genetically viable population. Okay. So what that means is we don't decide when we want to have an elephant or move an elephant or anything like that. We're recommended to do so as part of that program. So Angbo next door, our bull, he came over on the boat about 1.5 years ago in Chester Zoo as part of that breeding program, and we're hoping he'll give us some calves here at some point as part of that program. That's the recommendation. A little bit about their pregnancy. Elephant pregnancy is 22 months long. Okay, it's very long, and it is quite tricky to tell if they're pregnant by looking at them. So your immediate idea is why we just weigh them. We do have big weighing scales that stand on the back. That's also not the best giveaway either, because it could just be eating a bit more food. That, you know, for example, she weighs almost 5,000 kilograms, so a 60-kilogram calf is not going to be very obvious in that. So how do we do it? What we do is we check the cameras. So I can see that Somalia went to the toilet there. So I check the cameras, I make sure that's Somalia's poo, take a sample, send it off to the UK. They run it in a lab and they give us back the graph of their hormones, and we can see if they're stressed, if they're cycling, if they're pregnant, and so on. Okay, so we're currently waiting on samples to find out if we do have any pregnancies here at the moment. Okay, so that's how it's done. Okay, so guys, last thing I'll finish up on then, before I let this go, is these aren't doing so well in the wild, hence why they're part of this program. They're currently endangered. Okay, the first thing we think of when we think of endangered elephants is their tusks or the ivory trade. That's not the case with Asian elephants. Okay, your biggest issue with Asian elephants at the moment is human conflict. So what's happening in Asia and all around the world is human populations getting bigger, agricultural lands are getting bigger, more space is being taken up. Their habitats getting smaller, and what you're having is elephants trying to cross roads, they're trying to cross train tracks, they're walking through villages, they're eating from farms, which causes conflict. Okay, it's very easy to immediately blame people. That's not what we're going to do, because I'll tell you this. Angbo next door, our bull, okay, bull elephants go into something called a must, okay, and what that means is, once they mature, they go into a process where their testosterone spikes. They start leaking sticky honey-like fluid inside their heads. You ever see it in safari videos, see that inside their heads are wet and wonder what that is? That's what that is. They become extremely aggressive, they're really smelly, and they'll rip up trees, they'll push females around, they'll try to kill our male elephants. If an animal like that walks into a village where you're sitting there having a cup of tea, that's a scary situation. It's a dangerous situation as well. In addition, if you're driving on the road out of nowhere and you've heard of elephants walks out in front of you on the road, So what are we going to do about this? So just by you coming here, guys, half your ticket money goes into one of the zoo, other half goes to a bunch of different organisations in the wild, one of which is the Wildlife Trust of India, and they're doing something called the Elephant Corridor Project. Okay, so elephants have known paths that they send down. They teach the next generation about. Okay, follow this path, you'll get water this time of the year, and so on. So what they're doing on these known paths is they're providing a way for cars to stop, check left and right, so kind of like an elephant stop to make sure they're not going to climb anything. Same with trains, but they're also working with people, educating people on what to do in a situation where you do encounter an elephant. So we can live in harmony. Okay, guys, I'll leave it there. If anybody has any questions, you're more than welcome to ask. I'll hang around for a few minutes. If not, have a good day and thank you so much. Okay.